Hey guys, welcome to Gamer Know-How. Today we're going to be talking about the Helldivers II Escalation of Freedom update, the major expansion update that will be added to Helldivers 2 on August 6th. We'll talk about release date, we'll talk about what's in the update, and we'll talk about everything having to do with Escalation of Freedom, as it's going to make the game 100% better and more efficient, and also more player-friendly and team-friendly. So let's begin. Major update is inbound. Release date has been released. Helldivers 2 promised to deliver the release date of August 6th for the biggest update to the game since its launch. The update will provide promises to reward veteran players and bring in new players to full new worlds story, promising a fresh new installment to an already immensely popular game. So what's coming for Democracy? The devs have announced new planets, new objective systems, custom missions, new bugs, enemies, brand new biomes, including the fresh new swamp biome, and bringing back Helldivers 1 enemies. We'll talk about the big bad coming back from Helldivers, the original Helldivers game, and much more. The new objectives complement the community's drive for new strategies, playstyles, and enemy generation. So the community has wanted this. They've wanted new missions, they've wanted new strategies, and they've wanted new enemies. Because sometimes, the game is basically still the most diverse game to play. You drop into hell and you're basically expected to perform with your other teammates, and you gotta prepare for the unexpected. But when you've been playing the game as long as I have and my friends, we always just play every 2 times every week, so semi-weekly, it kind of gets somewhat, the enemy generation, the callouts become kind of the same. Everything is always random. You gotta expect the unexpected when it comes to this game, but still, it is nice to see more enemies coming to the game. That does bring more strategies and playstyles to think about. And then we have the new mission difficulty with new missions as well. A new difficulty has been released, CR10, or is commonly known as Combat Ranking. Rating 10 reveals a complete new difficulty for veteran players to play and test their maximum limits against the onslaught of automations in their fight against the Terminid. Along with greater challenges comes greater rewards. So, of course, in the game currently there's 9 difficulties from 1 to 9 combat ratings, and that is how difficult you want each mission to be. Of course, right now I have only played CR9 a couple of times. I haven't played CR9 for regular missions. We usually play CR6 and 7 when we're warming up, and then CR8 is where we are currently trying to get normalcy. We're trying to make it so CR8 becomes our new normal, but of course, that's hard to do. But you can't really expect much from this game. With CR10, we have no idea what to expect. Is it going to be custom enemies for the CR10? Is there going to be new environmental changes? Is the tornado just going to spawn directly in the map? That'd be pretty cool if that existed, but I don't think they're going to go that hardcore. I just expect more enemies, greater rewards for completing missions, the timer limits going down as usual, health points go up, weapons do less damage, just making it almost impossible to complete missions. CR9 is already pretty much impossible to complete. Now that there's CR10, there's people that play CR9 and are able to do it at a relative basis now. I bet people who play it daily are at CR9 on a regular basis. So CR10, I think people are just waiting for it at this point. Bugs and biomes. Bugs galore. Along with the CR10 comes the main push by the community for new mission variation. This is something that I've always been pushing for, and a lot of others I've talked to that play the game regularly talk about. We want new missions, and we want a diverse pile of missions. We're tired of just the same old missions. We want different objectives, new objectives, and better objectives. My favorite thing about this update is that it revamps the enemy outposts. As you can see, new objectives allow bigger mission goals, such as the revamped enemy outposts with larger stockpiles of enemies and major fortification designed to test the determination of the player base. Now, major fortifications is why I'm very interested in this update. Enemy outposts are already kind of fortified with walls and obviously the major amounts of enemy stockpiles. Larger enemy stockpiles just probably comes along with CR10, but I'm really hoping that there's the major fortifications include maybe sentry turrets, maybe laser walls, maybe you have to dodge like spotlights. Like there's a spotlight, and if you get caught in it, then it sends all the enemies to you. So you kind of like have to dodge around instead of just going guns blazing into the outposts. But we'll see what happens. The new swamp biomes were added. I'm gonna get to what the swamp biomes are, but they're basically an entire new threat to the player base. But along with the swamp biomes, we got new terminated ranks, including the spore charger. It's like a charger, but it's surrounded by fog, so you can't really see that much when you're up close and personal. So that's pretty scary. The Alpha Commander, a supercharged Brood Commander. So if you thought the Brood Commander was really hard, well, now there's a new one. Now there's one that's even harder than the Brood Commander now. So that's gonna add a new challenge for sure. And new automations are added. I think just bigger troops at this point. But the rocket tank is the one I'm really scared about because tanks are already hard. Rocket tanks, are they going to be like heat-seeking rockets? Are they going to be like burst fire rockets, sporadic rockets? No idea, but if there's a rocket tank, I'm pretty sure we're going to need a better shield. The ballistic shield is good, but against a rocket tank, we may need something like barriers or something like that. Drivable vehicles would be also pretty cool. And the return of... Now, we talked about this when we first introduced the story. We talked about Helldivers 1. There was a big bad being added. The return of the Impaler. This guy was really broken in the first game. When Helldivers 2 came out, a lot of people were kind of relieved that he wasn't in it, but now he's back. The big guy is back from the original game. The Impaler bot is brought back to life by the devs. Running from him is your biggest mistake, as he demands that you deal with him in order to escape the swarms of bugs that he unleashes on your team. If you don't know about the Impaler, his passive buff is that if you try to run away from bugs, it's almost impossible to run in his presence. You can't move that fast when you're in his presence. Swamp biomes are also added so you can hide much more easily. Now the Impaler can basically swim. Most bugs can hide underneath the surface of water, so if you step on them, they can immediately come at you, which is pretty damn scary. It kind of reminds me of the Jurassic Park scene of when the raptors are in the tall grass and the humans just keep getting taken out one by one. So that's pretty scary. Swamp biomes are darker. You can't really see. There's a fog over everything. There's new bugs like the spore charger, and the new automations are also geared to camouflage, but mostly it's just about the fact that bugs can hide underwater and they will only spawn if you get close enough. So you could literally sneak right up to the Impaler and you couldn't see him until it's too late, and you gotta either face him or he kills you with a swarm of bugs. And finally, the little things. Another major change in this update is due to team kicking being used to grief players. I haven't really dealt with this, but I've heard some people. Kicking players retain their loot and are immediately signed to new games. All of their loot remains intact, so of course if your team griefs you by kicking you, you still retain all of your loot. And teams that do the kicking will still retain their loot as well, so no harm, no foul. If you just get kicked, you just put into a new game and you don't lose any of your loot. Removing the negatives of the grief. So why grief if no one gets hurt? General patch notes, new missions, objectives, generation variations, swamp biomes, new terminated ranks, automations, team kicking patch, UI overhaul, matchmaking bug fixes, and quality of life fixes. So now I'm going to turn it over to you. Comment below these general 3 questions. What terminative automation are you most and least excited about? Most excited about is the new automations, because I think the automations are pretty damn cool. Least excited about is the return of the Impaler, because I thought he was a little bit overpowered in the original game. Now it looks like he's going to be extra overpowered with the swamp biomes. He can hide underwater and remain undetected. Number 2 is the swamp biomes sound fun, terrifying, or both. I think it's going to be both fun and terrifying. It's going to be fun because it's new, but it's going to be terrifying because bugs can hide undetected underwater and behind trees in the darkness and fog. So I think that's going to be really interesting, but also kind of terrifying. And how much of an impact did the griefing have on your game experience? For me, that never happened because I usually always play with friends, but some people may have just only done it online. Anyway, that's going to do it for this update. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like if you like, dislike if you don't, subscribe if you like it, and I'll see you guys next time. Doodaloo!